Bitcoin has broken through, I believe it's true, all-time high. The Webbot said it would do so. The next stop should be around $1,291. And then the next stop after that, which, yes, there could be pullbacks. It said you're going to see the big crocodile teeth movement. So, yes, expect pullbacks. But after the 1291, we should see something like 1488, I think was the magic number, if I recall. Or was it 1408? Maybe it was 1408, whatever. So as I sit here, matter of fact, just since I'm doing this video right this second, BTC, USD, $1,177, lucky sevens. It's looking real pretty, isn't it? So I want to read you this article from silverdoctors.com about this. But I was looking at another article from Wall Street before I decided to do this video, and they're saying Goldman Sachs, this rally in stocks is doomed or about to be doomed. And I thought, yeah, I'm expecting that, but curious what the old Goldman folk have to say. So I want to talk about that for a minute, and then we're going to get back into this Bitcoin thing. Hoped for tax reform and infrastructure spending will disappoint. Stocks have surged to new highs since the election from already very lofty levels on the theory that the Trump administration and Congress would create policies that would pile enormous benefits on corporate America and do so pronto. This includes, as President Trump called it, a phenomenal tax plan, deregulation for Wall Street and other sectors, and additional government spending, particularly a $1 trillion boost to infrastructure spending and some plus-sized moolah for the military. Now the markets are counting on it. Stocks have soared, and everyone is happy. So why is Goldman Sachs dissing the rally with increasing intensity on a near-weekly basis? Because this is not the first time Goldman has come out and said we got some issues we see, and I've talked about it on some of my videos. Not that I want to give Goldman Sachs, vampire squid extraordinaire, any kind of credibility, but they are part of the club. And sometimes if they see something that makes sense to me, I'm definitely going to repeat it. Goldman shares have surged 58% since early October, when it became clear to the markets that Trump had a chance. Some of its former executives are now dutifully holding down key positions in the Trump administration. Markets are expecting that all manner of goodies will rain down upon Goldman and the broader Wall Street community. But Goldman's analysts are worried about this market enthusiasm because those goodies may not show up, or show up late and in watered down form, once Congress gets through with them, if it gets through with them at all. And for any disappointment, there will be a price to pay, because tax reform may turn into a dud, according to Goldman economists led by Alec Phillips in a note today. The problem is the repeal of the Affordable Care Act, also known as the Unaffordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare. Republican lawmakers disagree amongst each other on whether to repeal it first and replace it later, or modify it instead, what to replace it with, or how to modify it. So this is going to be the congressional mess that is typical for large legislative changes rather than a quick thing, and it will drag out and get more complicated and more layered and consume the attention of lawmakers and focus the attention off the American public. This process is likely to take longer than expected, which is likely to delay the upcoming debate over tax reform, the Goldman economist wrote in the note cited by Bloomberg. The difficulty the Republican majority is having addressing a key political priority suggests that lawmakers might ultimately need to scale back their ambitions in other areas as well, such as tax reform. But quick and substantive corporate tax reform is what the markets are counting on when they push the S&P up 10% since the election. Now the efforts to deal with Obamacare may push corporate tax reform on the back burner, they said. And that would put those price gains at risk. You can call whatever you want the reason why could put the price gains on risk. the market, regardless of what they were hoping and Trump said, was already way overvalued before the elections, and then after the elections went into ludicrous mode. Remember Spaceballs, the movie? We've hit ludicrous speed, sir. You have absolutely hit ludicrous speed. You've hit ludicrous mode on the markets, the housing bubble, student loan bubble, debt bubble, credit card bubble, every bubble. Everything's a bubble. So that's all I want to talk about this for right now. If none of this stuff gets done on time, they're suggesting it could have detrimental impacts on the market. What a great excuse to use. Trump promised this and Trump promised that, and he couldn't pull through on his promises, and now it's dragged on for so long the market has not rallied and is now plummeting. Blame it on Trump. Fantastic. Back to Bitcoin. Silver Doctor's article, Bitcoin breaks record and sits at the cusp of all-time high. Now, when they wrote this, it was at the cusp of all-time highs. That was earlier. It is past all-time highs as far as I can tell. It's now 1177. I think the all-time high was somewhere around 1150, I think. We have been the biggest proponent. This is actually from Dollar Vigilante, I guess, part of this article. We have been the biggest proponent of Bitcoin in the financial space since it was $3 in 2011. When I see that number, knowing that it was $2, and $3 is another dollar more than $2, which would be a 50% gain on $2. So if you bought a stock for $2 and were able to sell it for $3, that's a 50% gain. You're happy. I don't like to think of $2 or $3 and also see $1,177 Bitcoin. Because if you spent one time $1,177 back when Bitcoin was $2, oh my goodness, are you set maybe for life, depending on how much you like to spend money or not. You could be set for life right now at today's price, not including when it is about to go to $12.91 to 14 something, and then again crocodile teeth, up down, and then the next stop apparently is somewhere around, wasn't it $2,300 I think Cliff High said, and then we'd see a kind of a large pullback and then off to the races again. So I'm pleased to tell you Bitcoin has surpassed its all-time high. Now, if you're the club and you want to teach the people a lesson, you let it get back to the all-time high and then you smash it like they did with silver. Oh, silver hit $50 in 1980, let it hit 50 and smash it again. Let them think it's never going back there again. But the difference is they can produce paper and more paper and more paper to push the price of silver wherever they want. You can't create paper bets to push the price of Bitcoin because Bitcoin doesn't have that type of capability. You can't create futures contracts. I mean, they could. Theoretically, they could do it. But Bitcoin isn't working that way. So the only way to manipulate it is to physically buy it and hold it and then dump a bunch on the market and hope the price goes down. But that means you, as the government, has to buy it from everybody who happens to have it and it happens to be selling it at that moment in time. It creates kind of a problem. So what do we see here? We've seen that the old thing, the modus operandi, mode of manipulation, if you will, can't work. You would have already seen it. It would have plummeted right now. And even if it were to, people would nowadays, right now, would say, oh, thank you, whoever did that. Buying opportunity, load up on Bitcoin. And you can't load up on Bitcoin if the government has bought most of it and is not selling it because they don't want the price to move again. They're going to have to sell it. The market has to exist. So that means whoever happens to have Bitcoin and has been sitting on it, they'll put it out there, but they're going to put it out there for a much higher price. Not happening. So that's one really good reason why I like Bitcoin. It's very hard for the government to control the price of it. So he says it now sits just a few dollars from its all-time high back in the Mt. Gox exchange days, which wasn't a legitimate high anyways, of $11.50. And Bitcoin has remained above $1,000 price for a record stretch of time, by the way, 7 days. The price is currently $11.22 as of this writing of this article and continues to climb. I'm here to tell you, no, it's $11.77 now. It has surpassed the all-time high. This upside has been fueled by the potential SEC or Securities Exchange Commission approval of the new Winklevoss Bitcoin ETF coin scheduled for Saturday, March 11th. As it currently stands, rules and regulations state that wholesale investors are prohibited from taking positions on Bitcoin. However, if the ETF is approved, it will likely result in a deluge of money managers piling into the market. This could spark a trading frenzy, pushing Bitcoin much, much higher. And if you are one of these top, I'm just going to tell you, if you're one of these top hedge funds, investors, whatever firms, and you've been playing this market, you know it's a bubble. It's beyond bubble. It's an extreme bubble mode, and we don't want to lose. We have to chase profits. And right now, this incredible weird thing called Bitcoin might just be that. Could you imagine if just one, not even a huge, just a decent sized hedge fund, some firm somewhere says we're going to not go all in, but we're going to put a big chunk down into Bitcoin. We're going to get in on that, which they may do through this ETF. Now, my question is, and I don't know the answer yet, is this ETF simply, what creates, because, an exchange traded fund, right? ETF. Are there, matter of fact, I might be able to find the answer out because I want to know. It's not a futures contract. It's not a commodity like a futures contract. But if you can still buy a bunch of these, positions, so to speak, in this ETF, in theory, you could crush the price and push the price around. In theory. Stand by. Let me see what I can find real quick. All right, so I found what I was looking for. Again, an ETF, an exchange-traded fund. If it's approved by the Securities Exchange Commission, and it may not be, but if it is approved, I personally think at that point forward, Bitcoin can be manipulated because of the ETF. So I was reading this from Time magazine, time.com. They had an article, Is the Stock Market Still Rigged? From 2016. Is high-frequency trading always bad? It's really important to put out that not all high-frequency trading or high-speed trading is bad. Take an ETF. An ETF is a single entity that represents a basket of stocks. They are hugely popular and trillions of dollars invested in ETFs. A high-speed trader will actually trade the ETF against the underlying stock. So if a buyer of the ETF pushes the price up, the high-speed trader can short the ETF, buy the underlying stocks, and settle it to fair value. So in my opinion, if a ETF, as it says, represents a basket of stocks, that means an ETF could be, simply the basket could be Bitcoin. So again, it's kind of like a futures contract, a piece of paper with an underlying asset. It's a bet. It's a derivative contract, essentially. It's a bet on something else. So in my opinion, yes, it can be rigged through the ETF. Seeing that Webbot seems to think we're going to see insane high prices in Bitcoin, one of two things that means to me. Either A, the Securities Exchange Commission is not going to approve it as an ETF. It's not going to happen. And they have to, I think, March 7th or 11th or something like that to determine if they're going to allow it. Or they do allow it, and all of what I just told you about a minute ago, the hedge funds and the investors go freaking wild into it, not to push the price down like the government wants, but to chase profit. We need something new to put money into that'll bubble up and thus cause a huge, very profitable, highly expensive Bitcoin price, bubble or no bubble. And just like silver, if you get out at the right time, who cares? The question is getting out at the right time. And remember some of the numbers that Webbot was talking about ultimately for Bitcoin. $40,000+ USD. Greenbacks, dinero, if you will, US. And I'm thinking I have a total of 5 now But 3 of those, I'm kind of part owners with a subscriber. Not that it matters. We're both going to be real happy. But imagine that. Just do that math. 5 Bitcoin, $40,000 a piece. $200K. And I look back when they talk about $2 and $3 again. So imagine if you spent $1,000 back when they were $2, which would be 500 Bitcoin, and they do happen to go to $40,000. You, my friend, are a multi-millionaire. And if that happens to be you and you happen to be a subscriber, send me a bonus. Throw me a freaking bonus just because it would be cool. Just kidding. Don't have to do that. But in all seriousness, Webbot is telling us what the general trend is for Bitcoin, and it appears, as it has been, correctly so, spot on with the movements of Bitcoin. It really has. And on other news, silver, for whatever reason, I keep seeing it, and I know at one point Kitco was like down. It wasn't updating right the price for some reason, but I keep seeing 1822 for silver. Gold 1250. I've been seeing this all day long. What is happening? Is there a glitch behind the scenes? Is silver breaking out? We don't actually get to know it. They shut the damn thing down. What the hell's happening here? It's been like literally like all day long. I keep seeing that freaking price. Now when I check my site, maybe it's not well, it says Kitco too. It's saying $18.14 for silver and $12.48 for gold. Maybe it's moving again, but anyways, it also said to watch precious metals. They'll start rising too in February, and it gave specific dates. Remember those? And about early February, we're going to start seeing some jumping in the precious metals prices with Bitcoin, and that's happening. Now, these aren't by no means extraordinary move. Oh, finally over $18. Ooh, big deal, right? But as I'm once again, 1177 is now 1184, 1184.66 Bitcoin. So stay tuned. I'll be keeping everyone up to date with this stuff, and we'll see where it goes next. Take care.